Good evening, waifus and husbandos. Welcome to another episode of WaifuCast. WaifuCast. With your host, myself, Ludakage, and my bosom brethren, Orifice.
Hi.
And our token black man, Ryusuke.
What up?
He's back!
In black.
Back
Still.
from Cali.
He made it out from San Francisco.
Yeah,
alive
I thought for sure he was going to get lynched over there. Not because he was black, just because he's short.
Got a lap full of Asian pussy on the way back from the plane.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
She sat on you?
Pretty much.
Did she sit on you repeatedly?
No, I wish.
There wasn't penetration.
It was a one-time thing.
Damn.
Best 10 seconds of my life. But anyways.
It would have been 10 seconds for me too, don't worry about it.
He didn't have that luxury.
No. Alright, well, today's episode of the WaifuCast, we're doing Final Fantasy, our favorites in the series. We're basically each of us choosing 3 of our favorites, and we're going to talk about them all collectively, concurrently.
Well, who wants to start?
Fucking this dude, since he was gone yesterday. Not yesterday.
Last week.
Yeah.
The last time?
The last time.
Okay.
Since he was gone, he should start because people want to hear his voice.
All right.
Remember to talk. Speak.
Be loud.
Speak loud.
All right. I'm right next to the mic. I'm good. Or am I good? I don't know.
You see you quiet on the blips.
Yeah, look at the blips. Look at my blips. My blips are larger than your blips.
My blips is like okay though.
Alright,
Look
you're
at
good.
that. Yeah, I'm good blips. I'm some good blips, nigga. Okay. So,
It's meta.
let me. I guess we should preface this by like how I got into it, where I started.
Yeah, go
okay,
for
can we
it.
do all that? Okay, yeah. So for me, the first time I'd ever actually seen Final Fantasy was when my older cousin got Final Fantasy VIII.
Mm-hmm.
That sucks.
I know, right? I didn't realize it was one of the shitty Final Fantasies until like later in my life.
But it blew your mind at the
Yeah,
time.
it blew my mind. Like the opening cutscene, Liberal Fatale, the opening song is still one of my favorite works by Nobuo Uematsu and all that shit. But that shit ain't on my motherfucking list. So, my favorite Final Fantasy, and it was the first one I ever owned, was my grandma bought me Final Fantasy IX for Christmas.
You
the
already
year it
know.
came out.
I got it for Christmas too, actually. I got Final Fantasy IX
Yeah?
as well.
So
Yeah.
Did it come out around Christmas then?
It might have, because
Yeah, I think it was a holiday title that year.
Okay.
Yeah, I
'cause
got it for
Christmas,
Christmas the year it came out, I believe. So yeah,
Yeah, we all probably got it that same year. Shit.
probably.
Okay, probably.
It's worth noting that since we're doing a top 3 in no particular order, Final Fantasy IX is actually on my list as well.
Yeah.
So-
Other than that, like that's literally the only game that's shared among our lists. I
Okay.
believe.
So we'll talk about this one together. We might chime in on other things.
Okay.
But-
Final Fantasy IX, the first one I ever owned, and is also my favorite in the series. It's
It's my favorite as well.
Final Fantasy IX is like what you show niggas when they want to know what Final Fantasy is.
I think that's
And I don't give a fuck what any of these 7 niggas say, any of these 10 fags say. Final Fantasy IX is it's just the fucking Final Fantasy.
I think that if you look at what Final Fantasy was in its beginnings and what it was up until Final Fantasy VII, I think that Final Fantasy IX is the absolute like essence of that. Yeah. It is what Final Fantasy was for the major part of its early history, perfected and
Yeah, it really was.
blown up in like scale and everything.
This is great.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Like the thing is, Final Fantasy IX is definitely not on my list, but at the same time, I do love that game. The way I rank my games, or Final Fantasy, or actually all games in general, has not just gameplay, but also how much I like the characters. And honestly, story usually doesn't even matter. When it comes to Final Fantasy,
Final Fantasy never had like
It's
groundbreaking stories, but
Yeah.
they've had good characters.
Well, it's like Final Fantasy stories are only best looked at chunk by chunk. Because
Yeah.
if you look at the whole thing at once, it's a mess.
Yeah.
But there are strong events that happen.
yeah.
Yeah.
In Final Fantasy IX, I do love the characters, but as a waifu fag, there's just not enough. Your choices are Garnet.
Have you seen Garnet's butt though?
I mean, Garnet's got a nice ass. That's why she was basically the waifu.
Okay.
Then you've got the furry.
Yeah, fuck all that.
Then you've got the child.
Yeah.
Then you've got the non-playable character.
Yeah.
That's it. And like, you know, Garnet and Beatrix are great.
Beatrix is great.
Aiko is great. Fucking Freya is great. But they're not exactly in my demographic.
What the fuck is Freya? Like a rat.
Freya is a rat.
Yeah,
she's rat boys.
I can't get down like that.
That's literally one of the few things that kind of makes me not put Final Fantasy IX that high on my list, because like I just can't get into it as much from that standpoint.
I feel.
But if we're talking like gameplay, it is one of my favorites because it's really simple. It's that turn-based shit that I love. Like I can name few problems I have with it.
I only have really two problems with the battle system, and that is
speed.
The speed, and the way trances work.
Yeah, I like the idea of trances because it's essentially a Super Saiyan form, but it happens automatically.
And
that's
you can waste that.
That's
shit.
Literally like the fatal flaw of the gameplay in that game.
And like literally, and as a mark for transformations, if they would have done the trance system like the way Final Fantasy VII did limit breaks,
to
where it's like you get to transform when you're in your limit break state, I would have fucking busted a nut, and it probably would have been on my top 3 as well.
That'd have been perfect. If they ever redo or remake the game, I just want them to fix those two.
Oh problems. Yeah. And I would love a Final Fantasy IX remake.
That'd be great.
And that game's not even on my list.
And I just want people to be able to see what Final Fantasy is at its roots, because I feel like in a way it's kind of lost on the newer games. Not saying any of the newer ones are bad or anything. I mean, some are bad, like some 13 and 15, arguably.
13,
all of the most recent ones since 12.
But I would just like people to see it, because I feel like a lot of people just don't know about that shit.
Well, so like the way I feel about 9 is I've always been a fan of Final Fantasy giving you class flexibility. I like the job system. I like that. Final Fantasy 9 didn't give that to you.
It was very...
But it gave every character was their class essentially. There was really no crossover in the characters as far as ability sets and whatnot. That's number one. Number two, you learned your skills and abilities through the equipment that you got.
Yeah, so nothing ever was. Equipment, you always used it.
You had to buy all the equipment so you could get all of the skills, and you had to wear that shit in battle to learn, get the the AP to learn the skill.
Yeah.
And I loved that.
That was great.
It incentivized grinding for me a lot because I would just master the abilities. Fuck leveling up. That was not the goal.
And the one thing I can definitely say in regards to me personally for 9 is that even from the 3 games that are on my list, like Final Fantasy IX does class systems better than all of those for me, because I do like that limitation because it gives you a reason. Because like for me, I'm a guy that has his team decided like from the get-go.
Well, because it's based off characters for
you.
You.
So my play through an RPG is going to be completely different depending on what characters I use. But for all of my favorites, with the exception of one of them, which is going to not really matter anyway, like it's all basically the same, because like every character can do anything. So it's like, it doesn't really matter. And like when I play through, for example, like 7, what I do when I play through 7 is that I'm going to use these characters. This is going to be my black mage. This is going to be my white mage. This is going to be my blue mage. And that's what I like. Enemy skills, and they can all attack because it's cool. Like enemy skills, white magic, and the summoner.
Yeah.
And then black mage.
Yep.
And then fucking all of them have decent attack because that's just how the game works.
Right.
And like, I have to do that to myself because that's the way I like to play. But it's just like I like those games better from a character standpoint, and not necessarily quality of the characters either. I want to stress that, because the characters in 9 were still good characters.
Very much so.
It's like even just because I don't want to fuck all of them, that doesn't mean they're not good characters.
Right.
Well, that's actually what I was going to say. I think Zidane is one of, if not the best main character objectively. I think that Cloud is. I think that a lot of the Final Fantasy main characters actually suffer from angst problems. Yeah. It's like they're all very much the same whiny little bitch character.
The thing is though, Cloud got better by the end of 7, but they ruined him again for the rest of the
extended series and everything. Yeah,
it was Zidane or Zidane, however you want to say it. Like, he was just a happy-go-lucky dude. Like, he was just.
Zidane was a great character.
Yeah, he had a personality.
Garnet was a great character.
He was funny. It was just, He was a good main character.
Vivi, man.
Vivi was great.
Vivi
Vivi
was-
was my favorite. Here's my thing, like my fucking measuring stick for like games in general. Really, if I ever say my favorite character, and it's a male character, then they fucked up. Like to me, because it's like they made a really good male character, but it's super easy for me to like a female character. So it's like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? So Vivi was my favorite Final Fantasy IX character.
I mean, but
He was so good.
I feel like Vivi's character and the way they handled it was so, like, above and beyond.
Yeah.
To, like, where I think it just makes sense that you would gravitate towards someone like Vivi.
Vivi was amazing.
There's nothing about his character that's unlikable.
Yeah.
And all of his flaws are very real flaws. They're
Well,
flaws
the
you'd
re-
expect a person
Yeah, and
to
the
have.
thing is,
real
the
because
thing about
he's-
Vivi too is like the only reason you would ever expect anyone to dislike him is because like maybe they're like the dude bro type of dude who's like, man, this guy's a little bitch.
They like Steiner.
But then like you take him into battle and he's a fucking badass. So like even those type of people would love him because he's fucking punching holes and shit.
And I mentioned Steiner. I think their skill comboing with the
Yeah,
sword
that
Oh,
was
yeah, when you
awesome.
did
is
enchant
fucking
weapons.
That was a
incre-
great
That shit
idea.
was cool.
It was so good because
Yeah.
it was unique to them.
Yeah.
And it was like it was a way to develop a relationship
Yeah.
between them without having to overtly do it in the story.
Mm-hmm.
You just they saw a tactical opportunity and took it, and I loved that. That was
Yeah.
one of
That
the,
shit was tight.
It's-
When they talk on the ship and on the ship, and then you go to the next battle, and he's just
And
like
he's got like
he
sword
just
magic.
alley oops
Yeah.
him. It's
Yeah.
like the
I'll
perfect
tell
like
you what,
alley oop
too,
moment. It was awesome.
Kuja is one of the best villains in the series, and a lot of people don't, because they don't like 9 intrinsically, don't even know.
Yeah, I don't even know who Kuja is, which bothers me. It's
And
like
he's like, I mean, everybody will talk about Sephiroth and they'll
Mm-hmm.
talk about Kefka from 6, but Kuja is like, he's just as good as those.
yeah,
And he's like twice as girly.
I mean,
Like we're
androgyny is
talking
huge
about
in Final
we're
Fantasy.
talking about Final Fantasy
Yeah.
villains. That's why I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks more
Kuja
like a
was
girl.
dope as fuck though.
Honestly, if Kuja would have been a female, she probably would have been my favorite. Because like fucking, he had those fucking like hip showing pants going.
Yeah,
You know, I was into that.
I like, I don't know. I feel like 9 also, has the problem a lot of Final Fantasies have with its ending, and that it's just kind of a like, all of a sudden things are totally different than you thought they were. Type of deal.
which I did and didn't mind, but I don't know. I didn't like going into
I
space
felt
and
like
shit,
the
but I
ride.
just-
that,
I just-
see,
I hate
Final
space.
Fantasy VIII's the literal worst offender in that. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like because it's like Ultimacia is literally only mentioned in passing in the game, really, and then all of a sudden is your final antagonist phone. It's not like what she's going to do or trying to do is not bad or anything like that, but
You're
it's
not-
like
it's like-
you don't feel her as a presence
Yeah.
until you're having to deal with her,
Yeah.
and that's a problem because it's like. All of a sudden, I'm in this whole new situation, and why should I care when things have been like in 8? I feel like if 8 would have just kept going with the path it had started on, it would have been a much better game, at least story wise.
That's a great segue to one of the ones on my list, Final Fantasy VIII.
Well, should we finish my list though?
No,
yeah,
we're
this is
gonna
where
we're
we-
just kind of circling around.
Oh, we're circling around.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, we're circling. Okay, okay.
Well,
and
me
we're-
and you both have 9 on our list.
Yeah,
Okay,
plus,
okay.
plus we're
All right,
all
I just-
we're all just talking about the games. It's not like fucking we got to remain quiet when someone else is doing the
Right,
rest.
right. I just didn't know how we were formatting. Okay,
Yeah.
so
So
Oh,
Final
shoot,
Fantasy
okay.
VIII. Here's why I like it, because you get to break the fuck out of that game, right?
okay.
There's something satisfying about it from a gameplay standpoint for me.
Oh, the junctioning system is OP.
Yeah, I just love, because like when I first played it, when I was small children, obviously I had no idea what the fuck was going on, right?
To be honest with you, I still don't because I haven't played it as an adult.
like
Same here.
that
own
the
it,
junction
everyone matched
system
to it.
is like great to me. Like I wouldn't want it again, but for being an entry in the series, like I still thought it was fine. Like the reasons why people hate 8 are the reasons why I love it. So it's like anytime someone's like, "Oh, I don't like 8 because of this," I'm like, "No, I agree. That is true. I just like it."
It's gonna seem like this is a bit because this is gonna be a running trend with you that you love things for the reasons that the masses hate them.
That's not necessarily true.
it's pretty
sometimes
true.
Yeah,
for
you
this
say
for
that
this
quite
explicitly.
often.
For this explicitly, but yeah, 8. Like, I really liked the Gunblade for how
Yeah.
retarded it was. It was amazing to me.
Gunblade was
Renzo
dope as fuck.
Kugan,
I
too,
liked
was-
it.
was-
Renzo Kukan.
That was
Yeah.
the best. Like, their limit break system was one of my favorites. The only problem I had with it is the only being able to do it at low health.
Yeah.
I don't
Which
like
later
that.
in the game it got made up because you got the aura skill, which allowed you to help trigger limit breaks like at any time.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like that game had a lot of stuff going for it, and like as a guy who at the time had only played 7 before that, like it was really strange seeing how that world kind of unfolded because it was a much more, it was just as modernized as 7 was, but it felt like another extreme. To where it was like I could see this being a real world.
Well, the reason there's a reason for it is like okay, so like that game proportionally, the models in the game were much more
Consistent.
and like
Yeah.
realistic,
Yeah.
and especially in the overworld because Squall wasn't massive.
Right.
Like as an icon on the screen, he was
Small.
the size he was supposed to be
Right.
in the world he was in.
Right. and I just liked the whole military school type setting, you know, like when I go back to that game, like whenever I think of something I would want to create story-wise myself, like I always think of it being essentially the same beginning as Final Fantasy VIII. You're just fucking in a school type thing, and you're building your relationships, except you can't because you're Squall. He doesn't build relationships.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, Squall's awful. But no, like I just love breaking the game. I love having my own like little mental checkpoints. It's like by the end of disc 1, I got 3,000 hit points.
God damn.
But that's something you could see. That's the difference between that game and most Final Fantasies. Like,
Yeah.
that's something you can mechanically get to
Yes.
just by doing it.
Yes, and like that kind of freedom is like kind of great. It's like the closest thing I'll ever get to liking Skyrim is Final Fantasy VIII. Like, because I'm like, literally, I play through the game, and right before I get 3,000 hit points, I have about 800. So I jump 800 to 3,000. It's like, there's my first checkpoint. Because I fucking unlocked the skill I needed. I fucking got a bunch of tents to refine into Curagas. I don't use Curaga. I instead junction it to HP for all my characters. Boom, 3,000 HP. You know, it's just, it's really satisfying. And then it's like, oh man, this GF has got fucking an attack junction. So now I'm going to hit like a fucking tank. You know?
God, that was the summon system in that game is probably my favorite in the series. Actually, it's the one
really
thing
good.
I like about that game more than the other games in the series.
Yeah, I like the GFs.
Well, because it made them feel like characters in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just hated
They had their own
pressing
hit
square
points.
too much, then hitting that X. And like,
Oh,
fuck!
the boost system, the boost mechanic.
I hate that shit. You'd be like, yeah, nigga, yeah, nigga, yeah, fuck!
and obviously, my waifu of the game, because like I already told you I was character driven, like fucking
Selfie.
Yeah, that was my girl,
Yeah.
and I liked Quistis too. Rhinoplasty. She suffers from my my bias against female lead,
Yeah.
but I don't hate her.
I
you
like
know.
Rhino.
I just don't like her
Rhino's
that much.
cute.
Plus, you got fucking Zell.
He was I.
Zell was great. And Squall sucked, but he had a gunblade.
What was the gun wielder? Irvine.
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 That was my dude too.
Yeah, I liked him.
He's like, look at that fucking ponytail ass bitch. So I got a ponytail. All I need is a cowboy hat. Let's do it.
Ponytail, that's big.
Fucking, you know, I just like the characters.
I also thought that the airship in that game, the final one, the Ragnarok, was like the business.
Yeah, that was a sweet looking airship.
That so dope. Dude, it was like a fucking like.
Oh, I'm not talking about the ship. I know the ship's like, nigga, what the fuck you flying around again?
Probably a bug.
Ugh.
Bugs can fly. Yep, that's what that is.
Fucker. Anyways.
So that'll take us into my second game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna choose Final Fantasy Tactics.
Good shit.
I'm going off a little bit off here because it's not a mainline entry, but I would argue that it is a mainline entry.
I mean, Cloud's in it.
Well, I thought about this when we talked about doing this topic the other day. I got to thinking about it after the fact, and I think the best reasoning for why it should be considered a mainline game is that Final Fantasy XII is also set in Ivalice. So the world it's set in is canon and in the mainline series. So
I mean, I don't even consider 12 a mainline series game, but that's neither here nor there.
I mean,
sit down,
right?
Be humble.
All right, so Final Fantasy Tactics is the perfect execution of the job system, period, in my opinion. The job system is one of the best things that Final Fantasy ever did for JRPGs. I love it so much, and the way that it's applied in Final Fantasy Tactics is absolutely amazing, because everything that you master for a class carries over to the other classes at that point. So, like...
Which makes sense.
But it incentivizes the grind and actually, like...
And honestly, wasn't it pretty much what paved the way for, like, a Fire Emblem, like, class?
Fire Emblem's been around longer than Final Fantasy Tactics.
From equipment, like...
Final Fantasy IX had a lot of comment with it, like the way that you got skills from equipment and things like that.
Okay.
And the story is great. I'm not like it's not that it's not. I just don't really want to talk too much about that,
Right?
Because it's complicated. But
as are all of them.
Pretty much.
But realistically, fan service wise, including Cloud as a playable character and the conditions for getting him were pretty cool.
Right.
It had really unique characters. I loved the classes that were available. Like Ryusuke was saying, it's the Disgaea wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Final Fantasy Tactics. Like it was a huge influence on the way that tactical JRPGs went.
Yeah.
True that.
And like it feels like every series nowadays has a tactic RPG at some point, and like. And like I feel like it's because of the success of that game and like the love that people have for it.
I mean,
Well, it's like I think the real problem before. Sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Is that those games weren't mainstream before, and slapping the Final Fantasy name and the Chocobo and all that stuff on it made people pay attention to it. So it made people see the value of that genre, and then games started coming out more and more from that. See, but it's like Shining Force did. To a larger scale, even what Final Fantasy Tactics did before it. So it's not like I'm saying that Tactics is like the most revolutionary game. I just think that at that time,
it did kind of help put it on the map,
and it took it to a level of complexity but simplicity at the same time. And I think that people appreciated that. And Fire Emblem's been around for a long time, and Fire Emblem has fundamentally only changed in very small ways over that whole time. And you've got. I don't mean to take this aside, but it's on my mind. You've got the people who like that series for what it was for, 15, however many years, just straight, where it was the same basic thing. And then they hate the newest games, which I would argue are mechanically the best games in the series. And at the end of the day, for a tactical RPG, and this is another reason I didn't want to talk about the story for Final Fantasy Tactics, the gameplay is king there.
Yeah.
Because you're spending way more time. That's my daughter. You're gonna hear her in the background.
She's a Crom fan, so she's getting all hot and bothered right now that we're talking about Fire Emblem.
I can't stop her. It is what it is. But gameplay's king. You're gonna spend most of your time in a tactical RPG in the actual combat scenarios. So if that's great, that's all that matters to me, really. Story is just an extra at that point.
And even then, like, the thing about the Fire Emblem games specifically is that even though it's really small, the support conversations do help flesh out the character as being more than just an icon on the screen. Because that was the biggest problem with Shining Force. And I love Shining Force too, and I loved all the characters. But the thing is, I had no reason to love all the characters other than their design and the 2 lines of dialogue.
Well, you kind of have to manufacture your own personalities for these people in your head at that time.
Yeah, unless they're one of the main 3 characters,
I felt like Jeanne d'Arc handled the characters pretty well too, without even really having like a affinity system. Like just on the battlefield and the cutscenes in between, like really helped. Like,
well, that game
build up the characters.
For those who don't know, Jeanne d'Arc is a PSP tactical RPG that was made by Level 5. They made the Dark Cloud series. They made Dragon Quest 8, Dragon Quest 9. They're pretty well known.
Before they sold out and did mobile games, but neither
here
nor there.
They still make Ni no
They
Kuni
do,
though.
they
That's
do, they
lit.
do.
That's litty.
I just wish they would just Give me Dark Cloud 3, please.
They're never gonna though.
You'll
Anyways.
get that dick out your mouth.
I will
Anyways,
deep throat some Dark Cloud 3, nigga. I don't give a fuck.
You'll get Dark Cloud 3 as soon as fucking Half-Life 3 comes out.
yeah. At the end of the day, I feel like Jeanne d'Arc it had a bigger focus on the story and less to do between that's the thing with Final Fantasy Tactics is that there's still quite a good deal to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. There's still quite a good deal to do outside of the combat. There's things to navigate through the menus and stuff. Jeanne d'Arc didn't really have a whole lot of that. It was plot point to plot point.
Yeah.
And that was fine. I'm not complaining about that, but I feel like that was why its character development was
Some people don't like that, but I didn't mind it at all.
Well, I kind of look at that as more... It's not a visual novel, but it's like a visual novel that just has a tactical RPG built into it.
Yeah.
And that's fine with me, because it's like if I'm playing a game for a story and I know that, I can taper my expectations. But if you've got a fully serviceable tactical RPG, strapped to that story,
I might boot that hoe back up.
that's what I'm saying. I own that game too.
I got it on my Vita too. I might boot that hoe up, bro.
All right, so I guess then we'll transition to
we'll go with
Number 2.
yeah, you.
Oh fuck. Number 2 for me would have to be Final Fantasy 12.
I was looking forward to this.
Yay. Oh man, this game.
Fuck, dude.
I have no good reason to like the game as much as I do, to be honest with you, because its battle system is effectively just an MMO.
It really is, but like...
I hate this game more than any Final Fantasy game I've ever played.
Shit.
I actually, before we get into why you love it so much and
Okay.
why I love it, why do you hate it so much?
It goes back to what I was mentioning before about like what I look for in a game more than like anything else.
Characters.
The gameplay and the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Gameplay, literally zero fun, because like you said, it was like essentially an MMO.
Okay.
I don't like MMOs. And
Neither do I.
Before 12, obviously there was 11, but that is an MMO, so that doesn't count. There was 10, and gameplay-wise, we'll get into that later, but 10 was my favorite. The gameplay was my favorite part of 10.
Was it your favorite gameplay in the series?
Yes.
Okay.
And it goes immediately to 12, the one that I hated the most. I was like, okay. And like this was coming right after Final Fantasy 11, a quote-unquote mainline game, was just an MMO.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, this sucks. We got MMO, and then we got MO. And then, characters. Not a single character in that game, aside from Bunny Bitch, has any kind of fucking memorableness at all to me. I'm like, who the fuck? Vaughn?
Well, when you look at the
Is he
story,
the main character, or is he just
that's the point.
That's
There
the
is
thing.
no main
There's
character.
no main character.
It is so much more about the political struggle between
Yeah.
the two kingdoms in this
than it is about any of the
anything else.
characters.
And that this is where I thought we were gonna differ here, is because that's the thing I love about the game the most, is that game's story and the way that it was so much about Ivalice.
You are just a small cog in what is really going on.
It is so much political machination, so much. It is just so interwoven and well done. It's not for you though.
When you really real shit, when you really break the story down in the most layman of terms, it is about Ash getting together a group of thug ass niggas, criminals basically, for her
who
own
all speak British,
for her own political
rebellion.
gain.
Yeah, it's really just like like guerrilla warfare. There's a big war going on, and you are separate from that big war, trying to change the direction of the big war.
Yeah.
And have your influence over it. And it's just, man.
It's just you're not right or wrong. It's good.
And see, the thing that redeemed the gameplay for me from it being so MMO was the gambit system, because
you could initially get just so good to the point where you could just put the fucking controller.
Yeah, and that is kind of ridiculous. Don't get me wrong,
yeah.
But it's not like that's something you can get in the first 10 hours of gameplay or something like that. You got to get there. And I thought that the license board, especially, I can't, obviously I'm not speaking from experience because the game's not out until 2 days from
when we're recording this,
but the license system,
it's not going to be as expansive.
The job system that they adopted in Final Fantasy 12 is a better version of what it had in the original game, but it was much like the Sphere Grid in the sense that like you picked a thing and then you could branch off from that thing by spending points and stuff like that. And
that and the Crystallarium from 13 too, if you want to compare it to that.
The Crystarium, honestly,
Crystarium, yeah.
literally, I can't even call that a Sphere Grid, honestly, because like the Sphere Grid at least had branching paths. The Crystarium is literally like, here's your linear path.
You know, you're right about that.
Follow it so we don't have to do it automatically.
the Sphere Grid was nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, when you look at a full picture of that whole bitch,
Yeah.
it's stupid.
Everyone shared it.
That's why like I couldn't get into 10 like.
The
13.
But even the license board could be a clusterfuck too, especially like with the original version, because they're already dumbing it down for Zodiac Age. Because all it is just the international version of.
It's not that it's dumbed down. It's just what was once spread out. Like, basically everybody started, like, by and large in the same area, and you had to work them in their direction and whatnot. Now it's like you can pick from one of the 12 different jobs and gain the abilities from that job.
Okay, so
It's just
you
smaller
still have the
license
same amount of
boards.
freedom, but just in a different way.
Yes, you have more. I would argue that it's the same amount of freedom in a more organized manner.
Okay.
Because
So if I want my both there to have a crossbow, I can still do that.
yeah, you just have to choose that job.
Okay.
And you're just working with 12 smaller license boards that are obviously more specific, but you can take abilities from any of them for any character.
Okay.
And I like that. I also think that game, at the time, was the best sense of scale in the series.
Yeah, you felt like the world was big.
The towns were massive.
I can say that too, because like from what little I played of it, like whenever I like saw the game, it did feel.
It felt grand. It felt grand, and like that's why when I played 13 and 15, I was just like, "What the fuck?" You know what I mean? It's just like, what the fuck?
I felt that way about 10.
Yeah, I mean, 10 literally was just like a linear path. It literally was with different backgrounds.
Were more willing to tolerate it with 10, and I think that maybe we could segue.
This is a perfect segue to my next game on the list, Final Fantasy X. And that game, again, I'm gonna fucking keep my criteria fucking basic, right? Gameplay, characters. It had both of those for me.
It had
gameplay.
I give it that.
Was my favorite in the series. Still to this day is my favorite in the series because it had the job class I liked. And yeah, you could still fucking modify your shit in order to become anything. Like you could have Tidus be a black mage if you wanted, but that happened near the end of the game when you had access to fucking all the Sphere Grid. During essentially the story mode for the first 3/4 of the game, Tidus is a quick warrior.
Yeah, everybody filled their role.
Yeah, Lulu was a black mage that couldn't fucking physical attack for shit. Riku was a thief that couldn't physically attack for shit, but had, like, uses and shit. Plus, you could swap out characters, so it wasn't... You didn't
in battle.
Yeah, you didn't need a team. It's like every single fight you were in, it's like, you know, even if my waifu wasn't on the field, she was still fucking... with me, you know what I mean? It's like...
Did they automatically switch when somebody went down? Or
No.
So
you had to revive them in order for them to get out. So that's why you could still game
like
over.
Where you couldn't switch out if they were down.
So, that respect, that's why, you know, that let me know that I like the job system so much. So that's why I like 9 more in retrospect than I did when I was a kid, you know, coming right off of 7 and 8.
Right.
But, like, it was like, okay, I love how this works. I love how the game feels, you know? And it's weird to say that for an RPG because, like, you're selecting menus, essentially, in this game. But, like, there's a weird satisfaction I get when I see Tidus just do a normal attack. I feel as if I'm...
I can feel you on that.
No, I actually, like, in hearing you describe it the way I get that, too.
There's a weight. I guess you could say.
For me, man, it was the linearity of it. It was the fact that I wasn't exploring a world anymore. I was just going from area to area. But in hearing you describe what you just did, they never would have been able to get that level of feel and expression and everything had they opted to go for the bigger, more open-scaled game, at least at the time.
Yeah,
Because
I mean this it was the first PS2 Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
so-
But it's like I've never really been able to get over the fact that when you like want to go back to old areas, you have to do it through a menu. It really was just like so on Final Fantasy.
the thing is, like, that didn't happen until you got the airship.
but
Like, if you wanted to travel, you did it.
You could just walk.
Yeah, you had to slog through the entire area, which, you know, it's not as like, obviously we all know I'm a fan of the world map system too,
Yeah.
but it's more like a Pokemon game,
yeah,
you know.
but that's not in a sense, but not really because.
I don't
Well,
know. Actually,
I guess
yeah,
I was
it's
gonna
super
say-
is because when you get the airship, it's like using the fly HM.
Yeah, but
I guess.
the point I was gonna say is that like there are several points in that game where you go to a new area and you can't go back to the area you were, but
Yeah,
then
that's
you
true.
get the airship
Right,
and you
right.
get the ability to go back, and that's kind of the same as like when you take the SS Anne.
Right. Yeah.
For an instance,
Yeah.
like you can't go back till you get fly
Yeah.
or whatever.
But yeah, like, and as far as characters go, like, it was one of those games where I liked every character for their own particular reasons. Like, Waka was a racist bastard. That made him funny, you know, because, you know, it wasn't racist against black people, so it's fine.
Right.
I hate the story to that game.
I mean,
So do
that's
honestly,
fine. That's
I
fine.
can't.
I pay very little attention to the actual overarching story of
I
Final
actually want to
Fantasy
connect this
games.
back to Final Fantasy 12 because I think that this is a good point of reference for you from me. I think that Final Fantasy X story-wise is about as pretentious as Final Fantasy's ever gotten in its storytelling.
In 10?
And
Oh, fuck 10. But continue.
I think that 12 is the least pretentious it ever was. 12 is easily the most easy to digest story. There's not a lot of I'm not saying that it's not complicated, but it's like it's politically
pretty- yeah.
complicated.
Complications aside, the one thing
It's
that I
complicated
did
the way
like
you can
about
believe.
10's story was literally like it was the anti-religion Final Fantasy story.
Yeah.
You know, and I kind of dig that too, because, like, you know, even back when I first played it, I was still having, you know, my doubts about religion at that point. But nowadays, when I look back on it, I'm like, yeah, this is fucked up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, execution aside, it's like, you know, where they were trying to go with it, I also respected. But then, you know, my waifu of that game. Anyone want to guess?
Is it Lulu?
Lulu?
It better be Lulu.
No.
Riku?
What the
Yeah.
fuck?
Riku was my girl in that game.
Oh my god, Lulu's so
I mean,
much better.
don't get me wrong, man.
Okay.
Lulu's got a lot more source filmmaker hentai. And I watched the shit out of that.
Hey.
I love me some Lulu. But she's a married woman now. And when she got married, Riku took off more clothes. So, you know, it's like...
Preach. You're right about that.
God.
This is true. This is true.
Okay. Well, Jesus Christ. Okay.
Actually, isn't that a perfect segue to your next game?
Damn straight it is.
You guessed it.
My third favorite Final Fantasy game is
In no
Final
particular
Fan-
order?
Yeah. No particular. It's Final Fantasy X-2.
Yeah. Which really surprised me.
I have literally no experience with this game.
I
don't you
liked
have
10
the?
too.
Do you have the HD?
I don't.
You should get it.
You
It's for
should.
PS4 and PS3.
It's
I
real.
like 10.
I mean,
You should still get it.
I probably should. You're
you
probably
really
right.
probably should.
I mean, honestly, I'll,
you missed
I'll tell
the
you
sale
what.
though.
Do you
This-
have it?
Steam.
No. This
I
is
don't
this is
know.
a deal we should make, right?
Uh-huh.
You get the PS4 re-release of Final Fantasy X and X-2, which are the same game, and I'll get the one for 12.
I'm already buying 12 on Tuesday.
Yeah, but I'll get the one for 12 though. 'Cause
Oh, it's on Tuesday?
I wasn't planning on getting it.
Why don't you just buy 10?
Broke right now.
I mean, I'm saying like I already have like plans to get that.
Hey, is that bitch a steelbook?
Spend less money, my dude.
No, nigga, I need to know that real quick. Is that bitch a steelbook?
So,
Huh?
okay.
Is that bitch a steelbook?
I don't know, man.
Hey, anybody want to buy a watch? $160. Right fucking now.
Buy our shirts.
Okay, so like,
Nigga,
okay,
please
so
buy
if
these.
you're getting 12, I'm getting 10. You're saying like fucking switch around? or
Well,
something?
are we talking about? Do we want to play this for this?
Are we
No, like maybe not, but like
We could eventually.
you, in the intentions of you giving 10 another chance and me giving 12 another chance.
I will absolutely
That'd be
play
cool.
10 if you'll let me borrow your 10. But I'm playing 12 when it comes out because I want to.
Hey, if we hop on it,
But I
Okay.
wasn't gonna. That was what I was saying.
Okay, well, yeah,
but
then
now
yeah.
I have a reason. And
I will
incentive to.
play 10 again. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that I'm not sure if you're ever going to like the gameplay at 12. I will tell you that right now.
I mean, I'm a lot more open-minded and leveled off now that I got the Prozac in me. Let's be real.
well, I think if anything, it'll be the story that redeems it for you.
Okay.
But
It's so good.
Because I'm willing to give second chances.
it's a deep game, dude. I'm telling you, man. Like there's so much optional shit to do in that game, and like I know how you love to, like BOP and the hunts
do.
in that game, the monsters.
Yeah.
You'll need to be to even think about dealing with them because they're stupid fucking strong. So.
Yeah.
Back to your 10-2, though. Again, like I said, I have no experience
Oh
with
my
the
God.
game
First
whatsoever.
First of all, I played 10-2 before I even touched 10. Let's just keep that in mind. When 10 came out, I didn't have a PS2, and I remember it vividly because my stepdad had a PS2 and would never let me touch it.
Of course.
And then I went out into the garage one night, and there was what I presumed to be a copy of Final Fantasy X sitting on like his workbench, and I'm like, what the fuck is that Final Fantasy X? I go to grab it, open it up, and there's a fucking copy of like Madden like 06 in there. Madden. When did Final Fantasy come out? It was early 2000s. It was an early copy of Madden. I'm like, fuck this shit. So eventually, like, my real dad gets me a PS2, and I end up getting Final Fantasy X too, which I only bought because Kodakumi did the theme song for it.
I will say for sure, 10-2, in my opinion, is the most underrated Final
It's so
Fantasy.
good. I don't know why niggas shit on it, bro, because mechanically, you can say the story sucks. I don't even give a fuck about the story.
Yeah.
But mechanically, it was a good fucking game.
It was. It was a
Like,
really good game.
What was so good about it?
Because it didn't really play the same as 10. At least not much.
Well,
Still had,
the gameplay, I believe the gameplay system was a perfection of the ATB system.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was a
good.
return to form. Because, 10, one thing I didn't touch on that I loved was the actual turn-based system.
Yeah.
Like, no time involved, turn-based. But 10-2, right afterwards, they returned to the ATB system in a big, bad way. Like, it was really good.
And the way you could, like, link things together with, like, different sphere change combinations.
Yeah.
On all the jobs and everything you could have.
Yeah, the job system obviously was a thing in that game.
Point. Oh my god, it was so fucking good.
Another thing about 10-2, and it's one thing that it started doing that was implemented, and probably the reason they were able to do what they did with 12 was that it was the first time in the series where you were kind of scattered around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it wasn't just every battle was like 3 people on this side, 3 people on that side.
Okay.
Like some people would move and play as they go, but it was
Yeah.
still just a menu. There was no tactical advantage.
But it
or
was just
anything.
But
dynamic.
visually,
Yeah.
Visually, it was
good.
dynamic. And it was cool. It was just good, dude.
Another
Like,
thing is that, correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not 100% on this, but wasn't it a game where you didn't have any kind of like rails to go on? It was literally like you can fucking do whatever you want from the
but
get-go.
that was great. You could do whatever you want, but at the same time, you could miss shit and advance the story. And that, when I was young, I didn't really understand. That kind of made me angry
Yeah.
because I'm like, I don't understand why I only have like 12% for this chapter. And also, let's not forget the important part. The part where you sneaking into whatever that chick's name is, like, place, and you gotta pretend to be a masseuse.
Yeah, give her a massage and shit.
I had to take the coldest shower after that shit.
Are you kidding me? I just beat off. What the fuck are you talking about?
And I
The
couldn't beat-
shower shit.
I couldn't beat off in my fucking dad's living room, alright?
Why not?
Because
Dude, you got to be more alpha than that, dude.
you're probably right.
Look
You're
him in
probably
the
right.
eye.
Mark your territory.
You're right.
Look
You
him
know
in the
you're
eye
right.
and
I'm gonna go
finish.
beat off in that nigga's living room right now in the podcast.
I'm gonna take a camera and shit.
World star.
Stop.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know. My dad's kind of a bro ass nigga though. Like, he wouldn't let me beat off in his living room. He did, however, go run errands for 9 hours so I could lose my virginity though. Shout out
Oh,
to my
good
dad.
shit. Shout out.
Hey,
Shout outs to that
that is a
individual.
real dude.
That is
That's
a
some
real
bro
dude.
shit.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I love like 10-2 people don't like, but I really enjoyed it. I really
liked it a
just
lot,
thought
too.
it was a good fucking game. It was mechanically sound. And honestly, I would argue you don't even need to play 10 to play it. You won't understand a lot of things, but it's still good.
Honestly, even if you do, you won't understand it.
That's true.
Yeah.
We could get into all those fucking novellas and shit where
Oh my god, no.
Titus is a zombie.
No.
We're talking about fan fiction?
No.
It might as well be. Hand to God, Doug. This nigga Titus kicks a bomb because he thinks it's a blitz ball and dies for real. Let that shit sink in. This is real stuff. This is canon, nigga. This is some canon shit. And Yuna brings him back to life, and Titus doesn't know he's a fucking zombie. And it's just like all this morally fucked up shit.
And then don't they end up breaking up or some shit?
Yeah.
Oh my god, okay.
Oren's daughter is around and is a bitch. You know, like, come on.
Alright, so, is that who Pain is?
No.
I don't even want you
Pain
to
was
explain.
great.
Pain was great.
Pain was little.
That's the only thing I know. I know that my third game is Final Fantasy V.
Woo.
Now, I don't imagine we're going to spend a lot of time talking
I know
on this
nothing
because
about 5, so I'll let you take the floor.
my feelings on 5 kind of like mirror 9 a lot because at the time for what 5 was in the series, it was a lot like 9. It wasn't that it was a return to form, but it was after 4, which was a much more story-driven... It was the most story-driven game in the series up to that point, like with the most characters, the most like... First of all...
4 had like a
Cecil's
million
story?
characters and some shit, right?
What?
Cecil's story, 5?
Yeah, Cecil.
Okay.
No, that's 4.
Oh, that's 4? Okay.
Yeah, 4 also allowed you to have 5 party members. I never liked that, and it was just too many characters, I felt like. But with 5, the cast is 4 people. And, it's Bart's.
Okay,
I can't remember what all of their names are, but you get 4 characters: a pirate princess, an actual princess, and then an old man who dies, and you get his like granddaughter or something. So it's a dude with 3 women. And
That's tight.
it had at the time the most complete version of the job system. I liked it because it was simple. There was save the world, collect the crystals plot, but we've got this deep ass job system for you. And I played it for the first time on the PlayStation when Final Fantasy Anthology came out, and I admittedly at the time I wasn't very good at these games, and 6 was harder than 5 was to me, so I enjoyed 5 more. And it just over time, I've grown to appreciate all of what.
You know what I think is going to trigger a lot of people about this podcast?
What's that?
6 is not going to be mentioned.
I know, right?
Because like,
so many
I've
niggas
never
love
played it
Six.
all the way through.
Same here.
I
can't.
It's not even that I'm trying to
like
shit
that.
on it. It's just like I've never played it, and I don't know that there will ever be a good time in my life to go back and play that.
I'm gonna be totally real with you about 6 here. I did not like the gameplay that much.
No. See, I mean, 6 was like steampunky, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Kinda, it was.
I mean, I've never, like I said, my first introduction to the series was 8, and then I played a little bit of 7, and then played all 9. But
Like the thing about 6, like,
I've never touched any of the ones.
I feel like 6
before
tried
7.
really hard to cater to my markiness because it had a female main character, and she goes Super Saiyan. But
Fair.
yeah, but it still was not enough for me.
Yeah, I
I had a
can't.
ninja who had a dog.
I just can't comment on it because I never played it. It's
Yeah.
like it's literally that simple. But that's all I have to say about 5. I honestly like 5 more for superficial reasons and like nostalgia, but it's like it's stuck with me. You know what I mean? Like I know that game inside and out. I know it really well, and it's just like that. It was one of those ones. None of the other old ones really hit me like that.
Yeah. Well, we're not about to end this podcast without mentioning the greatest Final Fantasy of all time.
13.
It's the third. It's on my list, and it is Final Fantasy VII.
Oh Lord.
You knew it was coming. Like I say that's the greatest of all time, obviously as a troll, because I know people are going to be upset. We talk shit about 6 and then say 7's the best of all time. We're going to get so many views on this just because people are coming to comment mean things.
But I mean, I will not lie to you that people like that game so much because they only see it through nostalgia goggles. Yeah. But it put JRPGs on the map.
Damn straight it did.
It like straight up. I mean, you can hate on it for what it is. You can hate on it for being over popular, but you can't deny the significance of the game. It has its. That's one of my biggest gripes against it. Is I think that its merits its biggest merits are less about it as a game and more about what it did.
Yeah,
I mean, and I have no problem with 7. I really have no problem with 7. Like, I don't think that it's like a bad game or anything. I just feel like when niggas talk about the best Final Fantasy on PS1, it's like 9 was so much better. And how the fuck could you even expect
like 7 to me, again, keeping with my criteria, gameplay and characters. Gameplay, obviously it was the first Final Fantasy I'd ever played.
Okay.
For like a lot of people. That was the case who
Yeah.
grew up around that time. And it was good. It was good. It wasn't the best, but when I was a children, I didn't know what was the best. And like it's one of those things where it's like it upsets me when it upsets me knowing that they're going to change it a little bit for the remake, because like I still want it to be intact because I still like how simple it is.
Yeah, the remake. I honestly,
I'm scared for that bitch.
Yeah.
But
go ahead. No, I don't even want to talk about it.
And then again, like the characters, right? With the exception of Cloud being a huge bitch, you still had Barrett, which was big buff black man with a big ass gun onto his arm.
The Castlevania fan in me, Vincent, Vincent's one of the best characters of all time.
Vincent's great.
And he's optional.
Yeah.
Like,
and I mean, literally, this podcast would not be around had it not been for my very first waifu of all time, Yuffie.
my favorite's Tifa.
I love fucking Tifa too. Are you kidding me? I love fucking that bitch. Yeah.
Tifa's my number one.
I don't know. That game's cast is unparalleled. Like,
it's really good.
It's unrivaled. I think the cast of that game is great. Right,
Yeah,
13 was unique. I will tell you this though, Kate Sith is a fucking trash can.
Yeah,
Hate
and that's
that
exactly why he's unique because he's a trash can.
But Sid was awesome.
Sid was he was my
Sid
dad.
Dude.
And then fucking Barrett was awesome. Tifa was awesome.
Like literally, if Barrett and Sid did the fusion dance, that's my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, personality wise.
I love Sid because he's a dragon.
Yeah, exactly.
He was great.
Dragon was my favorite class in Final Fantasy.
And that's the thing about that game. Like there was no classes, obviously, but the classes were kind of represented in little breaks.
They were
just a
represented.
little
The
bit.
way that I saw it is that it was like everybody was a blank canvas,
Yeah.
except for that they all fought differently. They were for different schools of combat. You know what I'm saying? So it was like their extra abilities they all could develop pretty much the same.
Yeah.
But the way they fought and the skills unique to them were the things that set them apart.
And it sucks because like Yuffie, despite being my favorite character, still probably has the worst level 4 limit break because it's literally only it attacks all enemies once for a lot of damage, and once you're godlike enough, that shit doesn't matter.
Nope.
It's like, fuck it, I'll just use slash all. Oh look, that's just as strong as my limit break.
One of these days, we're gonna do a video because I want to show you guys. But this motherfucker here, Lunakage, will and has and can beat Emerald and Ruby Weapon with just Yuffie.
Yep.
He will let everyone else die and then let her run train on.
Yeah.
God
yeah, you
damn.
didn't know that? I guess, yeah, he doesn't know that.
It is a
Holy
thing
shit.
of beauty to see.
It is on my YouTube channel, actually. Me beating all 3 Emerald Weapon, Ruby Weapon, and the final bosses of the game, the final part of the game with just Yuffie. Both of my other cast members dead.
God damn.
Well, you can do it again.
Yeah.
For us.
I still got the save file.
Yeah, well, we're going to do it for all of you.
Can we do a let's play of Durga Cerberus?
Can you talk? I was going to tell you to talk louder until the words left your mouth.
Can we do a you should just bleep that out.
God, that game is so
the only
awful.
censored thing on the podcast.
And you know what's fucked up, man? Crisis Core would be worth doing a Let's Play
Kevin
of,
coughs
but
up
you
blood.
can't fucking get it on the store. You can't get it anyway but in UMD form. And you can't fucking stream a PSP to a TV. Maybe you can?
Wrong.
Can you?
Nigga, yes we can.
Do you have Crisis Core?
I can get that shit.
Ah!
We will-
Saskade.
All we need is
Crisis Core is where
all we need is a
where
PSP
Lowly
emulator
Waifu is in it, right?
and the ISO. I can get both of those.
Okay.
I already have the PSP emulator. I just need the ISO.
That's the one where Zach's the main character, right?
Yeah, and it's
So-
so good.
So
I broke that
that's
game,
when
though.
my waifu is like 9.
Yuffie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Well,
when we talk
I'll tell
about
you
games
what.
get broken, I broke Crisis Core. By the time I got to Crisis Core, I killed Sephiroth in one hit, killed Genesis in like a minute and a half.
All I'm saying.
Hold on. Genesis is known as the Mega Drive in Europe.
What?
I see what you did there. The console, the Sega Genesis.
Okay.
Let me tell you a story about how Crisis Core
I didn't even know that.
shouldn't exist. Really,
No.
I think that there's just, unless they rectify this problem in the remake of Final Fantasy VII, there is just literally no room for Crisis Core to make any sense.
Yeah.
There's too much that happens in Crisis Core
Okay.
that would be relevant to Final Fantasy VII that is obviously not addressed in Final Fantasy VII because it was made before it.
Right.
Okay, I just want to say one thing to counter that. Crisis Core has gacked, so
You'll get that dick out your mouth.
I can't. Anyways,
It's alright though.
Crisis Core has gacked, and that's all it needs to
I
make
do
sense.
know that Crisis Core apparently has like the best ending sequence
It was pretty.
due to the
fucking
way
raw.
it
That's
ends.
subjective.
It's subjective. It was pretty raw.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
you get shot in the face.
You want to know what is a really good game?
What's up?
The end of this podcast.
Yep. Because we
56
added.
minutes. Hold on, it's 56 minutes.
Yeah.
Can we like round table our top 3 waifus real quick?
Our
From
top
Final
3
Fantasy? From
waifus.
Final Fantasy.
Alright,
Okay, go.
I'll go first. Dagger or Garnet, however.
Yeah.
I like to stay
She's
with
got a
Dagger.
fine ass. I will say.
She's number 1.
Okay.
Tomboy princess.
I'm actually probably going to end up stepping outside of my list here for this because I got Yuna's definitely one for me.
Mhm.
I like Yuna as a
Yeah,
character.
Yuna's nice.
Probably going to have to go with Eris.
So you like a very specific type of Final Fantasy girl.
Yeah.
And I feel that because I'm the exact same way.
Yep.
How about you,
Okay,
Daylands?
alright. My first one, forever and will always be Tifa Lockhart. She's
Can't
the
fuck with
best.
Tifa. I will
She's the
will
best.
say
Tifa
is
got them double
probably
divas.
Damn
is
straight.
probably literally the greatest waifu, just of all
Yeah.
time. Because like if you look at her, she's fundamentally the perfect woman.
She really is.
Like what has she done that hasn't been perfect for her man in every way?
Pester a whiny cloud.
I mean, if your biggest flaw is your man, I mean that's kind of a sucky flaw to have. But yeah,
I mean,
I feel
like,
like most women have that fundamental
I just
flaw.
hate Cloud because Tifa's always throwing pussy at him.
Nah,
He's like,
most.
nah.
That's not fair. I want to actually go on. Not most, just
just the
many
one.
that I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 1's Tifa.
Tifa.
2 is Lulu from Final Fantasy X and X-2. Lulu before she got pregnant.
Yeah.
He likes a particular kind of Final Fantasy girl
The
too.
tig old bitties. What's your number 3?
My
Double
number
D?
3, and this is going to be controversial,
Oh, shit.
but it's just I can't explain it. It's lightning.
I knew it.
I love lightning so fucking
You're
much.
fired.
I have like 2 posters of her in my fucking living
I'm
room. You
fine
should
with
know.
that, man. Lightning
fine.
is
It's
I
not
just
a
there's
bad
just something
girl.
about
Sarah's
lightning,
better than
Claire,
I like
Farron that I just fucking love.
Sarah's better than Lightning.
I like.
Yeah, she's Laura Bailey, so you're right.
I like lightning though. Like I don't dislike lightning.
I hate lightning, fuck her, but I would fuck
You
the dog
would.
shit out of her.
I would fuck the dog shit out of lightning.
What about you, Sonny Jim?
Well, we already know. Fucking
Yuffie?
Riku,
No, Riku.
Selfie,
Yuffie.
and Yuffie.
Okay.
Yuffie being top waifu essentially
And
of
you
all
like
time.
a particular
Yeah.
type too.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And we all like 3 different types of
know,
Final
dude.
Fantasy characters. Hey, well,
And honestly, that's kind of a good thing to mention because Final Fantasy does have a trope with its female characters of like every single one of its trio of girls is always little sister type, big sister type, and like motherly type. And I like the little sisterly type. You like the big sister type, and you like the motherly type.
Would Lulu count as a motherly type then?
You could kind of say that, but she's more of a big sister of the group.
Okay,
Because
okay.
Yuna does fall into that motherly kind of role.
I'll tell you what. Since he didn't specify who's who, you guys get to guess. Hashtag
Guess.
something.
Hashtag Waifu Wednesdays.
Coming soon.
This is on a Monday.
When I make our Instagram, eventually.
Fuck that. Yeah. Oh yeah. Hey. Also,
Buy our shirts.
like us on Facebook, like us on Twitter, follow us on Twitter, whatever you do on Twitter. Subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Like our shirts.
Subscribe to the iTunes channel.
Hell yeah.
Subscribe to the Google Play thingy.
Buy us lunch.
Get a third-party podcast app, pop in that RSS feed for reasons.
Do it.
All of that
Find a
shit.
way to consume it all.
Yeah, consume it.
Also,
powers
Derek
are
just
rising.
gave me fucking admin privileges. It's about to get lewd as fuck on this.
Hey, we are the WaifuCast.
Post them
Bring your
titties.
waifus back.
Post them that will be the first time I ever like follow something on something.
I dick missiles
Yeah.
What?
Coming soon.
is coming soon. No, that's
Oh,
gonna be a
shit.
shirt. If you guys were here and you've seen one of the videos we did, we mentioned I dick missiles, and I mentioned to our artists that a shirt should be made in which some character is deflecting a missile with their groin in a humping motion.
I'm sure that was in Tekken, because
It wasn't in
No, it
Tekken
was
because it
Crash.
was
I
after
think
we
I
set up
remember
the
that.
actual waifu cave.
It's Crash.
Okay,
It
I
was
haven't watched the
Crash.
Crash ones yet since I've
Aight.
been home.
It's coming, and you
like
will
the-
dick missiles too.
Just like my dick.
It's coming.
And with that said, we're gonna leave now.
We're gonna be away for a while, but while we're gone, don't forget your waifu.
Never forget your wife, man.
Bye, foo.